Uh, it's the final scene in the play, and the play is about a man's struggle to understand what love and talent are. And the scene, this is the end of that scene at the end of the play. And just so you know, I'm 36 in New York. My marriage has ended very badly. I go back to an acting workshop just so I can feel a little bit alive again. And I do a scene where I throw a drink at the other actor, and it has a very disturbing effect on me. There is a movie star that sees that and wants to talk about it. So we're having dinner in his suite, and it's a very involved conversation about what's real, what's fake, and truth and illusion for theater. And so and he's I'm not going to do his voice, but he's I'm not going to say who it is, but he's all American sort of heroic type in the movies. So I'm going to start with the way he ends this conversation. You think I know what I'm doing? I just seem to be good at it. People like me. And whatever they do with my hair and makeup and lights, and they take forever, and whatever the fuck happens in that camera does the rest. I make them money, so they let me do it. But never anything like what I saw you do tonight. And then I did one of those things that always gets me in trouble. And I said, well, I'm sure you could do it better than I did. What? The moment throwing the drink. What you could do with that, it would be incredible, far more than what I did. We could even do it here. There's plenty of room. I know the other lines. It would be incredible. Oh, come on. Let's do it. Get up, get up. He was so astonished. He was like an awkward teenager. Oh, but I need a glass. It needs to be empty. No, I said, it needs to be full. You need to feel the weight of it when you throw it. And I filled it up, and we're standing there in the middle of this place, facing each other. He's holding the glass, an expression like he's just been shot. And I just go at him with those lines until I'm right up on him. I know it was you. And that's when I see it. What makes a movie star? This magical tiny little flicker over his face, a spark in his eyes that comes from all the way down inside him. And up comes the glass, and I'm soaking wet, but I don't care. I'm thrilled that I got to see that up close like that. But he's, oh my God, I didn't mean to do that. And he grabs some napkins from the table, starts drying me off like a 2-year-old in a tub. And I'm pushing him off. And I know I can do it. Let me do it. And this crazy little comedy starts going on. And he wants to do it again. He can do it better. And, he says, then you sly little shit, he says, you're going to do it again. And I'm going to watch you, which was terrifying. Anyway, he does it again, and I swear to God, this man is amazing what he can do. It's just electrifying. And then it's my turn to throw the drink at him, and he's all excited, doesn't know the lines, he's going to just make them up. Sure, okay. And his face completely changes. I don't know what's happening, but as he comes at me, each line gets softer and softer until he's right over me and said, I know it was you. I can't, I can't do it. I put the glass down, don't know what to do. And so go get my coat. Wait a minute, where are you going? I don't know. I'm over my head here. I need to go. No, wait, what's the matter? I don't know. I just feel dizzy or something. He took the coat, took me back to the table, sat me down in the chair, and stood behind me with his hands on my shoulders until I calmed down a little. And he leaned in and said, you need to eat something, and that's a very expensive veal chop. Do you want me to cut it up for you? No, I'd be happy to. Just go sit down. I'm embarrassed enough. He did, looked at me like something he'd never seen before, and said, but my friend canceled dinner tonight and said I should go down and see this acting class everyone was going to. I thought, Jesus, okay. Scene study. How boring is that going to be? Who are you, really? I don't honestly know anymore, I said. I've been through a very rough patch and just trying to rise above it like I always do. Divorce? No. Vatican annulment. Jesus. Exactly. And I told him what they did. The photographs through the bedroom window, the rumors they spread, everything they took. And all I really had left was one very troubling question. Is love worth it? And when I said that, I saw a great sadness come over him, a deep one, and I could feel it right along with him. And I don't know where I got the guts, but I got up, walked around the table, and as he looked up, I just kissed him. Didn't know how he would react, didn't care. I was so full of feeling for him. He reached up and held on to me. I could feel his whole body relax. And then he started sobbing, heaving, loud. I wasn't sure what to do. It wasn't what I expected, especially this. And we just held on to each other. Then I took his hand and we went to bed. It was wonderful. He was so soft, not at all who I thought, the way he was like that. Very generous, which is rare. Because that night in that place, he was the one suffering that life. And afterwards, we're lying there together on top of the covers, which seemed important to him for some reason. I'd pull them up and he'd push them back down. No, no, let's stay this way. And this man, who everyone thought so strong and powerful, known all over the world, just wanted to be held, needed to be comforted. And that I could do that was something I didn't even know I could do. It just was there, came out of me, the strength of it. He curled up, nuzzled in right here. I put my arms around him and held his head like a child. It felt very profound. Took me all the way back to my dad and me, that incredible love we had for each other, the way he would hold me, that muscularity that only comes from a father. And that was this, reversed. That moment, I guess, when when a son becomes the father and is suddenly called on to provide comfort, to give it in that particular and very handsome way. And it was something I'd never felt before. And it was all for him. We stayed like that a long time, talked a little, knowing this was all it could ever be because, well, when he finally fell asleep, I kissed him on the forehead and whispered goodbye. And on the way home, across 57th Street, the light was coming up over the bridge and river, one of those very special New York things, and I could feel that something inside me had changed. And when I got home, got in bed and held the pillow like it was him. It's okay. Everything's all right. I'm here now. You're safe. And I began to wonder if I'd known how to do that with Nick and Mark all those years ago, with my life and all the ones in between, that wreckage. Would it have been different? Or did I need to go through all of that pain to even know what this was? And it wasn't that I was discovering what love was or anything like that. No, no, it was at that moment with him I began to understand how to love as a man, a grown man, no longer that selfish boy. That's what was different. And it was a difference that would directly lead to the three great love affairs still ahead, where I would also learn that this gift, if you would call it that, would also come at a great, great cost. And that is where we'll start next time. Lights down, curtain in part one.